Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, remember, these are all great companies. You know most of them. You should be using them at your school. So I want you to take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit each one of these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You've heard me say many times, probably the best equipment purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to thank Huddle. You know, as a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's a lot more. Go to huddle.com, join the 100 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative takes it to a whole new level. Beacon Creative is a content creation service that creates compelling stories for the digital platforms at your school. It's your kids' own stories, your history, your legacy. You really got to see it to believe it. I want you to email John Townsend, and you can do that at John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. It's a winning team. Let's also thank our good friends at Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, communication, facility management. Did I mention eligibility and clearance for your athletes? That platform is a game changer. Home Campus does all of these things and a lot more. Does them better, does it faster than the other platforms. Go to homecampus.com. Don't forget to mention you heard about it on the podcast. Homecampus.com. We want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your teams, your coaches, your kids are doing great things. Don't let it go unnoticed. Let the team at Gipper show you how to engage your community and use social media to get your brand out there. And it is your brand, your colors, your logos, all on their custom templates. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and while they were earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown continues to be a game changer in education-based athletics with their solutions that include things like, well, digital ticketing, of course, but how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? Their list goes on and on. Whether you're an athletic director, a principal, even a head coach, Hometown's going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. You're going to find it all at hometown.com. We want to thank our good friends at Booster Hub. Booster Hub's the #1 Booster Club software program in America. And things like sponsorship payments, meal fees, concession sales, it all flows through their secure system. How about volunteer signups, volunteer changes, spiritware sales? You really got to see the platform to believe it. Booster Hub is the platform your boosters deserve. It's the platform that they need. Go to boosterhub.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Athletic Surveys. Now, at my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for student athletes, for coaches, even for parents. And the information that came back on these surveys almost always overwhelmingly positive, and it'll be the same for you. And having that positive data, it's incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, maybe your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And don't forget to mention the podcast. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going back to, I got to say it, it's my favorite state. It's where I was born. It's where I started my career, where my kids were born, where I met my wife, the great state of Oregon. And in addition to all those accomplishments, we're going to be visiting today with somebody I like to call a good friend. Our guest is Tim Sam. Tim is the assistant principal and athletic director at North Valley High School. That's in Southern Oregon, the community of Grants Pass. Has a tremendous history as a school. Tim's got a tremendous background as a leader, and we're excited to have him finally on the podcast. Tim Sam, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Great to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me on. I was excited to kind of connect with you personally at our state conference a couple of years ago, but always fun following you and the podcast.
Oh, well, again, that was a great conference, not because of me. You guys do a wonderful job out there. If you haven't been to the Oregon Athletic Directors Conference, you really need to put that on your to-do list. Great program, great hosts, and I had a lot of fun out there. Well, Tim, let's go and jump right into it. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us your quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Just take us up through your own college days, and then we'll take a break. We'll hear about your career in the next segment. But what's the Tim Sam origin story?
Okay, well, here you go, buddy. Born in Napa, California. That's the wine country for those of you who know anything about that, the grapes. And grew up there for first 14 years. From my early days, being a kid, I remember basketball being a big part of my life, having a basketball hoop. I remember, like it was a couple of years ago, really having a big wooden post in the backyard with a 10-foot hoop. And then my dad nailed on a little basketball hoop about halfway up that had a bell that would ring when I would make the ball. And I remember my earliest memories were being on the backyard throwing basketballs at that little one that rang the bell until I was big enough, strong enough to throw something up that would go through that 10-foot hoop. So we went through, like I mentioned, first 14 years growing up there. We moved from Napa, California to Ashland, Oregon, which is just over the California border along the I-5 corridor, right on I-5. We traveled up and down there a few times, seeing family in Portland, and my mom fell in love with it. And so we planted roots down there at the age of 14. And the kind of good news, bad news was it was in the early days, right in the middle of tryouts for basketball season. Tryouts had started the week that we moved. So I was missing like the first day or two where I moved from, but I made like day two at Ashland Middle School at the time, became a junior high. But some of my lifetime friends were the guys that I met that first day at basketball practice. Best men in my wedding, and me the best man in their weddings. And in fact, one of them just made plans to go up to their son's wedding here in a couple months up in the Portland area. But so kind of really those became my roots while I was born in Napa, and those early days. The connections I really have throughout my life were made in Ashland, and some of the things that happened throughout my life that maybe we'll get to a little bit later. As far as career wise, I had roots in Ashland. So went to Ashland High School and played basketball there. Thought I won. I was playing football too. Enjoyed that game, not with the love that I had for basketball, but went to Ashland High School, ran cross country to get in shape. As I lost the love for football and played basketball there. And then my first year, we were poor. I lived at home, worked, and went to school at Southern Oregon University. Thought I wanted to be a rich engineer, work my way out of being poor, and spent my first year at Oregon State University in their engineering program and decided that wasn't for me. Took a year off, went to work, and had some folks really kind of push me towards education, coaching. And so I went to University of Oregon, which was a top educational school at the time, got my degree in mathematics, and graduated from U of O and became a math teacher.
Well, I wasn't aware of all those stops. That's very cool. Um, let's go back to those middle school days. I mean, you're so right. I think for so many in our profession, probably maybe in other professions, that those people you meet during those middle school, high school days, they end up becoming your best friends. I just had I'm a little older than you. I just had my 50th high school reunion this past summer and was back
No,
in
look,
Oregon and Washington, and those guys, that same 5 or 6 guys from back in the day, they're right there, and we're sharing all those war stories about that game or that practice. Um, I again, coming from Oregon, all those names that you mentioned, they kind of they have meaning for me, and I remember, Ashland High School, Medford, back when there was just one Medford High School, and Roseburg. Those were some battles. Anything you can share from your days as a Ashland Grizzly?
yeah. Well, I mean, what I could tell you is, our senior year, we were kind of up and coming, and it had something to do. There were a couple of us, me and another guy transferred. That's the word, hip word now, but we moved about the same time. Him from Michigan and me to Ashland about the same time, and kind of helped give our basketball program a boost. Well, our junior, senior years, first winning programs in over 20 years, and I remember, well, two things I can remember about that the Medford dynasty you're talking about. That one gym is as a sophomore back in the days when it was a 3-year high school. As a sophomore, I made my first varsity baskets in the Medford gym. My first varsity points. Our coach, a guy named Jerry Houck, just passed away Thanksgiving Day. In fact, had a free throw ladder, and so regardless of your stature on the team, starter or not, you could work your way up on a free throw ladder through challenging other players, and whoever's at the top of the ladder, if the other team got a technical, you got to shoot it. So I'm the 12th guy on the bench. Well, the game starts, and something happened between the other coach and the referees. And I've talked to that guy, became good friends, actually a colleague with him. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'll leave that for the history annuals. But they start the game with two technicals. So I'm sitting on the bench as a sophomore in this giant. It seemed like a giant gym. It seemed like a university gym that I ended up coaching in. But so I'm shooting 4 free throws to start the game. I make 3 of them. And then fast forward to my senior year, we're locked in the battle with Medford. For a playoff spot, and we go into triple overtime at Ashland. And back in those days, Jake, back in those good old days, you might remember those good old days. The gyms were always packed,
Oh yeah.
and they certainly were when it was Medford coming to town. And again, because of our success that we'd had that Ashland hadn't seen in over 20 years, the place was packed and going crazy. We end up not winning that game, but I remember this guy named Todd Watson who continues. He's a football official in our league right now. He goes like 14 of 14 from the free throw line, and they end up winning by a point or two in triple overtime.
Oh, I love it. And I've been in that gym. Is that gym still around? It's
Well, that's a story in itself, Jake. Exactly 1 year ago today, because I saw the Facebook post, we had a snowmageddon, and the gym ceiling collapsed on
oh,
that gym exactly 1 year ago today.
oh wow, tremendous history in there. You mentioned you played football, basketball, then you started running cross country. Do you remember? I think I know the answer, but did you ever have one of your high school coaches come up to you and say, "Tim, you shouldn't be, running cross country. You should be playing year-round basketball or something like that." Was that a thing for you?
Oh no, no, not at all. Back in those days, it was not. In fact, our basketball coach encouraged us. He was a baseball coach as well, the head baseball coach and head basketball coach, and he encouraged us to be multi-sport athletes. Ashland, back in those days, there were actually 3 classifications in the state of Oregon, and Ashland was a little school compared to Medford, probably 1/3 the size. So you survive by, having multi-sport athletes. But I thought you were almost going somewhere else, Jake. Here's another little bit of a story I got to tell you. That first day at Ashland Middle School, when I moved from Napa, I one of the first things I did was I met the basketball coach and the wrestling coach, who were two PE teachers, in their office. Again, back in the good old days, right? The
Right.
kind of elastic pants and the socks pulled up all the way to the knees, and they said, well, you could do any sports. Yeah, I'm a basketball player. And the basketball coach, he's about 6'7", 6'8" guy named Coach Lumsden, says, you look more like a wrestler. And the other guy was the wrestling coach. He said, yeah, you look like a wrestler. You're not a basketball player. And I said, yeah, I am too, a basketball player. I'm not wrestling.
No, and again, I'm having flashbacks my own to my high school and that situation. Absolutely. Now I'm gonna jump way ahead here. Normally we save this for later in the podcast. Um, Having grown up in that experience where you had great coaches that coached two sports. Maybe they were the head coach in one and the assistant in other. Is that something that you ever look for when you're going to hire a coach? Nowadays as an AD, are you looking for somebody that can or wants to coach multiple sports? I think it's an asset.
I think it's an asset too, Jake. Not easy in this time and age, where even like our practice rules are pretty much year round, and then in the summer you got to have some sort of summer program. But I'll tell you again, flash forward, and we'll get a little bit more into what I'm doing now. But here at our school of 400 kids, we've got more multi-sport athletes here than we did when I was working in Medford, a school of 2,000, not by percentage, like triple the number of multi-sport athletes. And then same with the coaches. If they're not helping out, we're not able to offer programs. So we do look for that and hope we can get those kid connectors connecting wherever they can.
I mean, if nothing else happens in this podcast, and I know things will, but if nothing else happens, I'm glad we got that message out there to our listeners. Multi-sport athletes, multi-sport coaches, it's definitely an asset. Let's go and take our first break. Once again, our guest today is Tim Sam. He's a certified master athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics at Oregon's North Valley High School. We're coming back with more, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. Hey, we want to say thanks to our good friends at Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You've heard me say many times that probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile and their customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, I'm telling you, all of our coaches just love the Huddle platform. Our student athletes love the videos, our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com. Find out all the things that they can do at your school and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Tim Sam, the Director of Athletics at Oregon's North Valley High School. Tim, you mentioned college-wise, and again, this makes perfect sense to me growing up in Oregon. You wanted to be an engineer, so you went to Oregon State. You ended up you transferred to Southern Oregon back home, and then you ended up at U of O in their education program. What are some memories, maybe from all three stops, that you can look back now as a veteran leader, a veteran AD, you can say, hey, those were big moments for me?
Oh man, that's a great question. I mean, right off the bat, one of the things, just went on a walk with some colleagues. Beautiful day here in Southern Oregon, by the way, for a walk, and one of the topics that came up is getting through college, and I'll start with knowing that I could do hard things. I mentioned we grew up with not a lot of money. If I was going to go to college, it was going to be through any kind of scholarships or grants, and then working. And here's what I remember is I needed $5,000 to get through 9 months, which that makes me sound old, but it's pretty amazing to think about too. And then and then how you get through those 9 months with that $5,000, it gets pretty creative. Whether it is, walking a couple miles to school or riding your bike rather than putting gas in that car, working at the same time. So I started my coaching journey. Really, I had a volunteer job my first year, or that 1 year I was at Oregon State, coached for a boys and girls club. But then part of back then, Jake, we did, and you probably remember this, we did arena scheduling in Mac Court, the legendary Mac Court. You would go in and every department had a table set up, and you walked up and said, I want to put my name down for English at 8 a.m. And you look at the slot, if the slots, were all full, or if there was an empty slot, you wrote your name in, and that's how you signed up for a class. Well, part of that group was this athletic director, assistant principal at Shasta Middle School, got into Willamette High School, and he was just there looking for coaches to fill his coaching staff. So he sees that I'm signing up for some education classes. Says, "Hey, do you coach?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you coach?" I said, "What do you need?" He said, "I need a head track coach." I said, "I coach that." I never I ran cross country, but I didn't know a dang thing about track. I tell you what, I had a kid that ended up setting a record in the long jump, a school record, and in the pole vault, and I coached them both. So you learn what you can. I went to the high school, talked to those guys, went to the college. Back then, obviously, much, a little different days in the 80s, very approachable. No, nobody was standoffish, and they were just there to help. And so anyway, that's how the coaching career started. And those are a couple impressionable things that happened to me, University of Oregon.
Okay. Now let's fast forward. You've graduated. I still remember, graduating from college, and you go to it was the teacher placement office, and that's where they listed all the openings, and you would type out a letter and run a Xerox copy of your resume and put it in an envelope and mail off. Were you still in those days, or had
I was,
technology
yeah,
a little bit?
yeah. In fact, I got a kind of a story related to that. So, well, they had when I graduated, they had teacher fair, and a couple different teachers fairs around the state. First one that came up was in Portland, so I went there. In fact, one of the first tables I came to, um, there was a True Detective show in that same town. I always forget the name of the town, but the Jodie Foster one in Alaska, in the Barrio, Alaska. And you had to sign up for a 2 year stint. You stayed there for 2 straight years. Uh, and the room and board provided. They gave you like a $20,000 bonus. That was a lot of money back then,
Oh yeah.
1990. But you had to commit to 2 years, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't commit year round, and basically teaching native Alaskans.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, walked out of there with 4 interviews. Had my first interview at Fremont Junior High in Roseburg. I had one in Beaverton, one in Sherwood. I can't remember the fourth place. Go to my first interview. On my way home, they leave a message offering me the job at Fremont Junior High, and I'd snapped it up before I had the other 3 interviews. I knew I wanted a job. So my first year, and it was just a 1 year gig, but my first year was teaching math, and they named me the head boys basketball coach of the program, seventh, eighth, and ninth grade at Fremont Junior High in
Now,
Roseburg.
I mean, that's great. Congratulations on getting that right out of the chute. I always ask this question. We speak a lot about new coaches or new ads. You don't know what you don't know. What was something that you found out as a rookie head coach right out of the chute that you didn't know?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there was so much. I mean, one of the first things is that being a head coach at any level, if you were in charge of basically in charge of the team that was a whole lot more than just running a basketball practice
Right.
and a game. So all of a sudden, I'm scheduling. Well, I'm putting in for substitutes, writing those lesson plans, but also putting in, creating budgets for uniforms and practice uniforms and transportation. Um, kind of figuring out the disciplines. So a lot of the things that went beyond the game of basketball on the court.
Yeah, I still remember as a young, I was actually 2 years out. I substitute taught for 2 years, and then I got my first job at a junior high in Vancouver, Washington, seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. And I was the seventh grade basketball coach. So I had these veteran coaches to, kind of run that aspect of it. I just can't imagine the colossal failure that would have occurred had I been in charge of the entire program. Oh my
I
gosh.
doubt that.
Okay.
I doubt.
How you mentioned it was just a 1 year gig. What were some of the next stops that brought you on your journey that now has you at North Valley?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of part of the deal. I had dated a gal, and that relation dated a gal for several years, actually, through University of Oregon, and she was still in Eugene. She'd started a teaching job. That didn't work out, so my tie to that being in that area was kind of lost. I did go back home. I had a job that I'd worked during the summers throughout my college years at a hot tub truck canopy manufacturing spot in Talent, Oregon, between Ashland and Medford. Anyway, I went back home, working that job, and also working on my master's at Southern Oregon University. End up meeting a couple people that worked at North Med, became North Medford High School. The two schools, or Medford split in 1985, 86, two schools. And they were looking for a math teacher and said that I needed to apply. So this kind of connects what you were talking about, those packets. So I said, and they were looking for an assistant basketball coach. So they said there was a Friday class. They said as soon as this class is over, call. Here's the number of the principal. Give him a call. I'm going to tell him you're calling. He is going to want to meet with you. Okay. I didn't know why they would be so desperate for somebody, somebody that, yeah. Anyway, other than I was from that area, being an Ashland kid. Anyway, so the first thing I do is I get off the phone, I call the education department and ask them for my folder, my packet, so to send. They said, "Oh, you need to give us a 30-day notice in order for us to prepare your packet with transcripts or whatever, the letter, whatever they put in that packet." Back then you had to take, teacher exam
Right.
test, and they'd send those scores. Anyway, so we can't do that. So I go back to class. And I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, whatever days those class were made. And that person said, "Did you call the principal?" And I said, "Well, no, I called U of O and they couldn't get the packet there, so I decided not to." I said, "As soon as we're done, you need to call him. He's waiting for your call." I said, "Well, what about the packet?" "He doesn't need your packet. You need to call him." So I call him. He says, "Come in the next morning. Meet me at 8 o'clock at the school. I'll be in the office." So I get there, of course, at 7:45. And it is like 110 degrees out. And I'm in, of course, a coat and a tie and just sweating and waiting outside, just sweating. And this guy walks by. All right. I kid you not. It looked like Barry Manilow, except for he had a tie-dye shirt on, cut off jean shorts, and a backpack. And I mean, I think of myself, I'm respectful to all, but he didn't strike me as the principal of the school. And I said, "Excuse me, I am," and the school was all locked up, right? There was nobody this summer. "Excuse me, I'm looking for the principal of the school." "Well, I'm the principal." I said, and he said, "Are you Tim?" I said, "Yeah, I am." He said, "Well, come on in." So we sat and talked for about an hour. It was the most un-interview hour talk. And he said, "I want you to go down to the HR department and let them know I'm going to hire you." It's like, "Oh, okay." So I drove from there to the HR department, said, "Principal just said he's hiring me." And then, the HR did the HR thing. "Well, he doesn't hire anybody. We do the hiring around here, and we'll just see how this will work out." I said, and then I walked out there and said, "I don't know what just happened." I don't know if I'm hired or if I'm not hired. Well, ended up being a 26-year career, where I folks there became family, blood, sweat, tears, laughter, people getting born and people dying, all happened during those 26 years. And it was certainly the formative time of my career. During that time, I became head boys basketball coach, was a head girls golf coach for 18 years, which also was unbelievably fulfilling for me, and not in the ways a lot of people would think, not because I'm out on a golf course and not because I'm playing golf, because despite what a lot of people think, that's not what, at least golf coaches I know, that's not what they do. We're coaching golf, teaching golf. But anyway, just an unbelievable 26 years. During that time, I taught math for 13 years, and then the midway point, I was asked to apply for the AD job and became an athletic director.
We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to jump into that portion of your career, and we are going to get to North Valley eventually. But just again, fascinating stories. I just love to hear the stories. Let's take another break, but we're going to come back with more from Tim Sam. He's the athletic director at North Valley High School, and that's in Southern Oregon. Let's take that break. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Beacon Creative and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but Beacon Creative has taken it to a whole nother level. Beacon Creative is a content creation service that's going to take your stories, your student athletes, your teams, your history, and come up with compelling narratives that you can then share on your social media platforms. And it really doesn't require you to lift a finger at all. I want you to reach out to John Townsend at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. And you can do that by emailing John, John, at beaconwalloffame.com. Beacon Creative and Vital Signs. It's a winning team. We also want to thank our good friends at Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities, communication. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? Home Campus does these things better and faster than the other platforms. And if you're not a home campus school, you're going to want to be. Go to homecampus.com for more information. And don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Tim, you just did a wonderful job sharing some stories from your time before going to North Valley, but I wanted to share a little bit with our listeners about that transition from teacher coach to athletic director of a major program. You mentioned you were asked to apply. Is that something that had occurred to you, or did that seem like it was coming out of the blue?
Little combination of both, Jake. So I was a third year head boys basketball coach at the time, and in my mind, I thought that would be something I'd be interested down the road. Being a math guy, I thought of myself as pretty organized, and I like solving problems. And I did see, and I continue to see, being an athletic director as part of that, a problem solver. Um, but I didn't see it coming when it did. What had happened is in 2000, it was 2000, summer of 2004, Oregon had gone through one of those crises where that we see in education with the lack of funding. And we end up letting it at our school. I think we had 19 staff members that year let go. And for different reasons, some people just leaving, but they were shrinking budgets. Anyway, one of the results is we had an opening in our athletic director department, and I certainly didn't think being a fairly new head boys basketball coach and an athletic director made any sense. It was kind of an old model, kind of the old football coach. Athletic director was kind of an old model, and that was beginning to transition, at least as I saw it, and it's continued to transition into really much more of a kind of a professional position, administrative position. Anyway, I remember them coming to me. I was running summer camp, so early June, coming into the gym while I was running camp for kids, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to apply for this job." I was like, "Okay." And then one of those things, once you decide you're going to throw your hat in the ring, it's like all in, and they they hired me, and man, I was with in a room with a bunch of legends. You being an Oregon guy, and I can't remember if you know some of these guys, but Thurman Bell, he
Oh
was the
yeah.
head football coach, athletic
Mhm.
director at Roseburg. Dennis Murphy, I think number three all time winning basketball coach in Oregon. He was the AD at South Medford. Jim Nagel, multi state championship athletic director in Ashland. So I'm in this room, man, and I talk about one of these things is not like the other. So I was one of those things. So I've always been pretty good at shutting up and listening. That's one of my strong parts, and kind of smart enough to know, not smart enough not to have put my name in the hat, but smart enough to know that these people knew a whole lot and that I needed to learn from them. And one of the cool things, Jake, about this position is those folks. Thurman Bell was the football team you wanted to beat because we were obviously in the same league. Dennis Murphy was the basketball coach that I was coaching against, and he was Darth Vader. Hated was the word you used. Well, he is one of my very best, closest friends. Um, kind of early on, and he's the one that really showed. I mean, he reached out, whatever I can do to help. I had a medical emergency a couple years in of being an AD. He's the first guy in the hospital visiting me, asking me how he can help at North Medford fill the position, or fill the responsibilities. Um, so anyway, but I'll tell you what, kind of the previous question you asked about being a head coach, man, there are a whole lot of things I didn't know about being an athletic director. And I remember that the first month or two, I mean, it looked like something out of a movie. I had stacks of these little stickies. I still keep them, but I've got three of them out right now. But my computer was surrounded by them. I mean, there had to have been 150 of these stickies of things that I had to do yesterday. Uh, and I don't have to go through the list because we all know what all those things are. But um, anyway, learn to manage those. But been an incredible journey. One of the greatest parts of the journey is meeting people like you, Jake, have becoming friends. Seriously, becoming friends, expanding. Uh, it sounds selfish, but expanding your resources, but also your web, your relationships with these people who a good friend, a great mentor. Bruce Brown from Proactive Coaching would talk about some of his favorite people in the world are offensive linemen because they are only there to serve, not to have their names in the paper. And I said, that's an athletic director. We definitely don't want our names in the paper because if it is, it's probably not good. And we're here to serve others. Those are the kind of people I like being around. So that's why I like spending this time with you. And I really have grown to love that part of the job, connecting with others, learning from others, growing with others, and then helping others.
Well, you're very kind with your praise, and that comes right back at you. You talked about you started out with some legends. Your name is certainly among that group now, from what you've accomplished. Let's go and do that right now. You're no longer, or you're at North Valley. We're going to talk about that in our next segment. Looking back, and I'm demanding that you do this. What are some of the things that you're really proud of from your tenure as AD? What were some things that you felt really good about accomplishing?
Well, thanks. There are a couple things, and one spurred in your last advertisement talking about Hall of Fame. One of the most important things I can say, if your school doesn't have a Hall of Fame, if you could be a part of creating that legacy for other people to know and learn and be recognized, that's something I'm proud of. So crazy, North Medford, the Black Tornado. We inherited that Black Tornado. Um, mascot from the original school had no Hall of Fame. So at the time, I think I should know this, but I want to say it was established in 1906. There was no history on a wall of any kind for anybody to know what of the legends
Right.
that went through that school. So creating that Hall of Fame was one of them. proudest moments that we initially inducted 103 people, and then I'm still part of that actual committee. Every 5 years we have another induction. I'm going to throw in there, Jake, in year 14 of being athletic director at North Medford, we had new leadership there. And under that leadership, they decided the athletic directors at the two big schools, North Medford, South Medford, should be halftime teachers. And I did not think that was a model that worked well for our coaches and kids. And told them that if that was a model that they really were going to move forward to, I was gonna seek out something else. So that led to me coming here, which has been a great change. Again, I'm still on the Black Tornado Hall of Fame committee. I still have friends and family that live there. My daughter just moved into that attendance area so she could raise her kids to be Black Tornado, North Medford Black Tornado. My son-in-law's just started coaching for him. So anyway, I've got a lot of ties and importance there. But just in my ninth year here at North Valley, we also got to put together their first Hall of Fame. Those two schools, interesting enough, Jake, are two of the three schools. And when I came here, the only two schools to have won in Oregon what we call the Triple Crown, state championships in football, boys basketball, and baseball. So we were able, as part of the Hall of Fame induction, but also part of kind of highlighting some of the history of the schools, highlight that the legacy of the Triple Crown in those two schools. So very proud of that. I'm going to add, Jake, I'm really proud. I've been an LTC coordinator. I was trying to remember just the other day. I think it's 8 or 9 years, and then took over certification from the great Vicki Nelms, who retired here a couple years ago and moved back to Arizona. And really proud to help athletic directors, number one, get fed through professional development, but number two, get their certification and the pride they feel as a result of getting certification. So I'm very proud to be a part of that process.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're going to talk about that in one of our later segments too. So, but good for you. Thanks for sharing all that. And the Hall of Fame, absolutely. You know, if you're an AD and you're listening to this, and your school, your district doesn't have one, you know that is a tremendous community builder. Way to bring alumni back into the program, and a way to let the current generation see that they are in fact standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's go take another quick break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we are going to come back with more with our guest Tim Sam, the Director of Athletics at Oregon's North Valley High School. We'll be right back. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com. Let their team turn you into a social media marketing guru. Your athletic department, your kids, your coaches, they're doing great stuff. Don't let it go unnoticed. Gipper is going to provide the tools that will allow you to share all those accomplishments on social media and get your brand out there. And it is your brand, your mascot, your logo, your colors. Using Gipper's templates, it's so easy to look world class. In fact, it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's through the Ohio program, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a tremendous experience. And while they were all earning their degree, they also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. And don't forget to mention you heard about it on the Educational AD podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD podcast. Tim, you've just been so great about sharing your journey as a leader, as a coach, as an educator in Oregon. And now your journey, for a while has brought you to North Valley High School. You talked a little bit about how you ended up there, but share with our listeners a little bit about the school and the community and what makes it so special for you.
Oh boy, we might need another hour, Jake, but I'll hit some highlights. I can tell you, of course, leaving a place you've been at for 26 years, that wasn't easy. So it was important that it was going to be the right move and the last move. for me. That for sure was on my mind. So as I started investigating the job, one of the things I did is I drove up to the school. I'd been here a few times for summer basketball games, but they were in a different classification, different league, so we didn't really match up ever with each other. Knew some of the coaches. Harold Dabbs was a longtime legendary coach here, state champion, part of that Triple Crown I'd mentioned earlier, and uh, one of the things is kind of the natural beauty, very rural. We are right along I-5, just north of milepost 61. You can see us as you drive by I-5 and see the American flag flying. But we are kind of tucked in the woods, right along the Rogue River, the wild and scenic Rogue. Couple miles north of Grants Pass. Most of our kids do live rurally, kind of north, places called Wolf Creek and Happy Valley and Sunny Valley. And some of the kids do come from the outside of the Grants Pass area as well. Um, when I came here, what I was told, one of the poorest zip codes in Oregon. So a lot of kids with needs for sure, and kids that needed care and love. And I felt like that fit my heart for the job and how I wanted to finish my career, but just the type of person I am. I also like the size of the school. I mentioned I think we're about 400 kids. I have always been a relationship person, and the idea of being able to build relationships with everybody in a school of 400, where I was coming from a school, we ranged somewhere between 1,600 and 2,200 during those 26 years I was there. Much more difficult. You would definitely see kids during the day that you didn't know and maybe didn't recognize from the past. That doesn't happen in a school of 400 where we all eat lunch together at the same time, and about 250 of our 400 kids are involved in athletics or some sort of activity, band, theater, choir, all things that I oversee. So real connections with kids. And one of the things that I learned early in my first year here, is the care that the coaches and the staff, teachers, as well as classified staff had for the school and the kids. Um, Talk about unentitled all across the board. Nobody expected anything of anybody else. What they expect is that they were going to need to give in order to make it happen. Um, my first parent meeting, here's what I remember. When I was introduced, I was locked out of school, didn't have my keys yet, so waiting for somebody to open the front door. So I come into the area we're going to meet. We call it the Commons, and chairs weren't out, and the custodians had just gone home. So I put the chairs out. Not It wasn't something I was used to, but definitely I've always had a heart for serving and no job beyond me. And I kind of like the idea of other people seeing me in that role of
Sure.
serving. That nothing would be above me. Well, one of the things I learned at that meeting, so the meeting ended, and I said, "Thank you for coming." And all the kids and the parents immediately started stacking the chairs, moving them back to where they went without, I mean, nobody, that never happened at my previous school. It just wasn't part of the culture or how they grew up or part of what was, needed or expected. So, um, that that has continued to be a kind of a part of who we are. We don't have a whole lot of money or financial resources. The resources we have are people, and we are rich in people resources here.
All right. Now, again, just another example, and you talk about the small school. Most of my career, at least in Florida, 20 plus years, was at a couple of different private schools, and they were 400, maybe 250 kids. And you're absolutely right. You get that opportunity to just build maybe a little bit tighter relationships because there aren't so many kids that you find at a big public school. We talked earlier about coaches, and I'm curious how are you able to fill your coaching positions through teacher coaches? What percentage of your coaches are on campus as teachers or working?
We do talk about that a lot at state level and even national level, and that I'd say we fit the trend. It's going down. What I am pretty proud of is we have coaches that stick around. They kind of fall in love with our philosophy and with our kids and resourcing the stick around parents that started coaching because their kids were coming through and they keep coaching long after their kids are gone. But that being said, we're in the about the 35 to 40% on staff are coaches, and the rest we have to go outside for volunteers or professionals or
But again, you bring up another very important point is, retention and loyalty. We've all had those great, at least I hope we all have, I know I have, off-campus coaches that have been with the program for 15 or 20 years. So that's a huge factor. Of your head coaches, the head varsity coaches, how many of those, what percentage would you say are, they've been there, let's say, at least 5 or more years?
yeah, let's see. Now you got me going through my head. One, two, three, four. Of our major coaches, let's see, we have 16 sports. Six, seven. It's like 6 or 7, I'd say, are in that 5 year,
That's good.
5 years or more. Yep.
Hmm. Tim, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, find out how you do things at your programs. And listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that listeners can get in touch with Tim Sam?
Good. I am really good at texting and emails. I end up in a lot of meetings, but sometimes those meetings don't require 100% engagement from you, Jake. So I'm either able to be on the computer or the phone sometimes. So I'm going to give you my cell phone and a good email. Cell phone is 541-301-1689. And then one of the shortest emails you may have ever heard in the educational world anyway. It is tim.sam at the numeral 3 rsd.org. Three Rivers School District, 3rsd.org.
All right, I love it. Okay, we'll give that out again at the end of the podcast. We'll put it in the show notes too. Our guest is Tim Sam. We're going to take another break, but we are coming back with more, including our athletic director toolbox. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank our good friends at Hometown for their support. Hometown continues to be a game changer in education-based athletics with their solutions that include things like, digital ticketing, of course. They're still the #1 digital ticketing provider. But how about fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction? The list just goes on and on. Whether you're a principal, an athletic director, even a head coach, Hometown is going to show you how to save time, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. You'll find it all at hometown.com. Check them out today. We also want to say thanks to Booster Hub, the #1 booster club software program in America. Booster Hub is going to take care of things like sponsorship payments, meal fees, concession sales. It's all going to flow through their secure system. How about volunteer signups, volunteer changes? Nothing's going to fall through the cracks. Booster Hub is the platform your boosters need. It's the platform they deserve. And it gives them more time to support you as fans. And isn't that what you want? Go to boosterhub.com for more information. Boosterhub.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Tim, I've mentioned a couple times that you are a certified master athletic administrator. That doesn't happen by accident. I always love to have our athletic directors share their journey, not just with the NIAAA, but also with the state association, because it's a journey that all of us, especially those new ADs, need to get on. So how did you get started with the state and with NIAAA?
Yeah, I mean, had some kind of legends and leaders that were people I wanted to emulate and follow. Bill Bowers was our first executive director. He taught the first class I took, LTC 501. Um, and always been interested in learning more. Um, and then as I grew in my athletic director career, another person was a guy named Mark Horak, a longtime athletic director at Lake Oswego, but also at Westland. He was the LTC state coordinator for a while, and so I worked with him to get my CAA certification as well as my CMAA certification. Um, Again, kind of wanting to follow in his footsteps. And along that journey, he encouraged me to apply for a position as the 6A classification rep to become a member of the Oregon Athletic Directors Association Board of Directors. And so I followed in his footsteps and did that. I replaced him as the 6A rep. And then being on that committee and that group, Mark was also representing our Athletic Directors Association on the state OSAA, the state sports board, as our rep, and he. I ended up following him in that position as well, but he asked me to run if I would run for the executive office of secretary, which becomes a 5-year rotation through the secretary, treasurer, vice president, president, past president positions, and I did that. Then as past president. We had the position of LTC coordinator, again, a position that Mark Korak had held open up, and I jumped at the chance, so I became that LTC coordinator and the past president in the same year. Um, and I've really enjoyed that journey. We talked a little bit earlier, Jake, about the importance to me of feeding others, helping others, serving others, and that has been very rewarding for me in my career to be able to provide professional development and to lift others up. You know, get other athletic directors to join state faculty, and just in the last couple of days, at least apply to join national faculty and get on national committees, or at least apply for those positions. Those things super rewarding for me, and so. Unbelievable. Somebody just asked me in the last week or so how long it's been. So this is my 15th year on the Oregon Athletic Directors Association board. And then one of the opportunities that come up, I think once every 24 years or so, is our in our Section 8 rotation, Oregon has opportunity to put somebody on the NIAAA Board of Directors. And I was one of the few that qualified that wasn't retired, and was asked to serve in that position. And we just finished our February meeting this last weekend in Indianapolis. So actually touched down Tuesday. This is Thursday afternoon. We touched down Tuesday night and had a great 4 days meeting and growing and learning and encouraging others in the boardroom in Indianapolis.
And again, those positions, they just don't hand those out. They look for individuals that have been involved, as you mentioned, that are still active as ADs, but have that experience, have that track record. I think, yeah, one of the other new board members is from Florida, Scott Drabzik, okay, good
Yes,
friend of mine.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
okay,
got to spend the last 4 days getting to know Scott. Yep, what a great contribution he is to our board.
okay. Now, you mentioned earlier you are also involved at the national level with the committee, and I was very fortunate to be a part of that. I was the co-vice chair along with Tal Groff for a number of years, and just truly enjoyed the time on the committee and the work that we got to do, but also, and you've touched on this, the people that you get to meet, not just on certification, but on the national board. What are some things that you have seen happen, let's say recently, with certification, since you've been involved?
Well, I would say one of the exciting things, I mean, a couple. One is national certification, right? That has been created and then blossomed in just my short less than two handfuls of years involved, where we now have a national CAA certification. I think we call it CIAA, maybe, Certified International, yeah, Athletic Administrator. And now we spent considerable time talking with the PDA folks in Indianapolis this last weekend about creating I'm not going to come up with a word, but areas of expertise within the LTCs. So if you took all the law classes, for example, and maybe you take and pass an exam on those classes, you become certified in those areas as experts, the wrong word, and I apologize, I'm not coming up with the right word, but um, uh, semi-certified as a legal
Right,
expert.
right. No,
Again, I'm not
an
going
area
to.
of expertise. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, there you go. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh no, that's exciting. And that's something the Professional Development Academy has been working on.
correct. Yep, exactly. It's kind of the next step after a CMAA. What's next
Hmm.
for folks? Yep.
Well, the cohort program, I know is still
Mm.
a tremendous addition, and it's part of. I don't know if that's LTC or if it's part of certification, but or maybe it's its own thing now. But I was fortunate to be in the very first cohort and still in touch with those many of those athletic directors that were part of that group.
Yeah, I think they would consider that just under the PDA umbrella, the Professional Development Academy, and
Mhm.
everyone that's involved says exactly the same thing as you, Jake. I'm sitting next to Corey Adlin from South Dakota in that boardroom, and he talks about one of the greatest times in his career was spending that year on the executive cohort. Everyone I talked to, I mean, the QPA cohort, unbelievable how that's exploded. In fact, what we talked about is they're going to scale it down, but I think that 53 people earned their QPA at this past national conference, which I mean, I remember again as the LTI coordinator sitting in the room, and maybe there'd be one and maybe there'd be none in some
Mhm.
years. And because of the cohorts, it exploded. And so they're scaling it back to what they're going to do is have three cohorts of eight. So there'd be a maximum of 24
Right.
distributed each year.
No, when that first came out, and again, I had retired when the QPA cohort was developed. I just thought it was the greatest idea in the world because my final year as an AD, what turned into my final year, I was going to do the QPA at my school and had started it, and then COVID hit, and we other things happened. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but I ended up retiring the next year. Part of the motivation for me in Florida, and I still think this is true, at that time, no Florida school had received a QPA. And I was thinking, hey, I want our school to be the first one. So I guess that challenge is still out there, Florida athletic directors, be the first school to get a QPA. And even if there's schools in your state that have a QPA, it's a tremendous exercise and accomplishment to go through, check out the QPA program on the NIAAA website. Great stuff.
Really is. I'm going to
Great.
say, Jake, parallel path. So I started the QPA process during COVID. And then when we geared up after COVID, I did not have a chance to finish it. And then they changed gears and started with the cohorts. And I just never became part of the cohort, being involved in committees as well as the LTI coordinator and the state board. I just you gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
But I've got two binders up here. I had the first six out of the 10 sections completed, and you're absolutely right. It's a great exercise because it really gives you a great self audit of your athletic program and where kind of the holes, where the dips are. Um, so I mean, you are creating your own knowledge about where you need to grow in your program and what areas you're in great shape in.
And right alongside with that, it shows things that you are doing and your department is doing exceptionally well. And in this day and age, when many athletic departments are having to, justify themselves to people who just don't understand, what education-based athletics really is and really does for students, it's a great tool for you to have as an athletic director. So
Exactly.
thanks for sharing that point. Tim, this has been no surprise. It's been just a great, great visit. And oh, by the way, a pretty good episode too. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox segment. Now, you certainly know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's take that break, and when we come back, we're going to see what Tim Sam puts in his new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for their support of the podcast and for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for our student athletes, for our coaches. We even did them for parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that came back on these surveys, almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from our squeaky wheel parents, but the surveys allowed us to hear their concerns and usually address them before they turned into something big. But going back to all that positive data is incredibly valuable, especially when you have to visit with your school board, maybe your principal, sometimes even your superintendent. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And don't forget to mention you heard about it on the podcast. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with our good friend from Oregon, Tim Sam. He's a certified master athletic administrator. He's the director of athletics at Oregon's North Valley High School. Tremendous background as a coach, as a leader, as an AD. But right now, I'm going to challenge him to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job. But I'm only going to let him put 3 tools in the toolbox. So, Tim, what 3 items are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Okay, we'll start number one. I kind of mentioned, I think it's vitally important that you find, as a new athletic director, you find a great mentor or a handful of mentors, people who are doing a great job. I think retired mentors, somebody like Jake, obviously would be a great resource. I think you also have to have somebody that's got their boots on the ground, that knows what's happening today in athletics in the athletic world, and certainly probably in your state, and in your area. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same size as school. That could be helpful, but they're also the different perspectives. So if you have somebody to reach out to them. If you don't know somebody, reach out to your state association. I'll bet they can find somebody to connect you with. So that was vitally important to me being successful, especially getting through I think the first 3 years are vital to you becoming an excellent athletic director. So find a mentor. You want me to just go down?
Yeah, just keep on going. But that absolutely is a great tool in the toolbox.
Number 2, and this is easier said than done, but get good at managing so that you can become a great leader. Certainly, being an athletic director requires some of the management tools. You got to make sure the referees are there to referee, the buses are there to transport, the lines are down, the grass is mowed. But really, your position, there are different folks that can do that. Your position as a leader of the athletic program is to lead, inspire, to help people be the best versions of themselves. So be sure you're doing a good job of managing and making time for you to be the leader of your athletic program and the people, the coaches and the kids and the community, the parents that you're all leading.
I love the way that turn of phrase, manage to lead, because you're absolutely right. I think that probably would fall into an organizational category, but I don't think I've ever heard that phrase. I love it. I think I'm going to steal it too.
Okay, do absolutely. We talk about a lot. I can tell you that, us and some of the folks I work close with. Number 3, Jake, is get involved. Dip your toe in the pond. There's never a right time. I don't know if it's kind of like maybe getting married or having a child. It never feels like you're ready. Never feels like the right buying a house. Never feels like you're going to be able to pull through. Dip your toe into the pond. Get involved. Get involved in your state association at the national level. If you're not going to your state conference, get to your state conference. Go to the workshops. Take classes. If you've been to state conference but not the national conference, go to the national conference. Same thing, increasing the size of your web, the relationships with other athletic directors that are going through the same things that you're going through, but have a little different perspective, different eyes, is one of the most helpful things I think you can possibly do. Uh, it has been a game changer. I know in my career. Uh, Again, having the mentors started that web for me, but as I got involved at the state level, the web just increased. You are the people that surround you, right? We hear that time and time again as leaders. So why wouldn't you get out there and surround yourself with the best leaders in your state, the best leaders in the nation, the people who are working hard every day to get better? So that's 3A, Jake, and then I got 3B. And I'm going to finish. For me, it's my punchline, my period. Here's what makes making those decisions to dip your toe in the pond easier. Sometimes making hard conversations tolerable, doing hard things able to be done is knowing your purpose, knowing your why. Know why you're doing the job you're doing. There are some programs, three-dimensional coaching is one of them that helps going through one of their courses helps you put together a transformational leadership statement that helps you formulate your own why. I have mine. It's my byline on my email, and that is helping others to become the best versions of themselves. And it's not and not only others but myself. Seizing those opportunities to do that. If you know your why, it's easier to get through that hard stuff. Knowing that every step you're taking is fulfilling your why, fulfilling your purpose.
Oh, they're all great, great tools, and I love how, in true athletic director fashion, you snuck a fourth tool in there. Totally, totally
3B,
appropriate.
3B.
Okay. For our listeners, one more time, if they want to add you to their network, add you as a mentor AD, what's the best way that they can connect with Tim Sam? One more time.
Well, number one, you and I started offline talking about nothing fills my bucket more than being able to help others. So if you have a question, looking for some advice, just want to shoot an idea at me, that fills my bucket. So know that you are not putting me out at all by doing that. I would love to hear from you. Cell phone 541-301-1689, and email is tim.sam, the numeral 3, rsd.org. Tim.sam at 3rsd.org.
And you can also find Tim's information on the NIAAA membership portal as well. Tim, thanks a bunch for coming on, taking some time out of your very busy schedule to share with our listeners. All the best as 2026 continues to unfold, and looking forward to connecting again. Hopefully it won't be all the way until the national conference, but hopefully when we come out to Oregon this summer, we can make some connection.
I hope so. It's great connecting with you in Tampa. Man, I made some serious plugs about more than once. We need to make sure Tampa is on the regular rotation. That was an awesome conference, an awesome place to hold the conference. Great spending this time with you, Jake, and connecting with all you out there that got a chance to listen in.
Well, again, all the best to you. All the best to our listeners, and thanks for tuning in. Just a reminder, we upload the Zoom videos of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.